Who doesn't love computers? They're wonderful machines that assist us in practically everything we do in our daily life. And analyzing data is perhaps where computers are most valuable with their incredible speed and precision. However, computers are not particularly intuitive. They don't really handle concepts, ideas, and information in that abstract and logical way that we ourselves can do. At Capish, we're developing a software to bridge this gap called Capish Reflect. And our idea is to create a piece of software that mimics all the potentials of the human brain. Although our patented software Capish Reflect works well for life science research, it can also be used for analyzing other kinds of data. So instead of talking about things like clinical studies, adverse events, or treatment outcomes, I'm going to demonstrate how the software works with a database consisting of only 6 bottles of wine that I have at home. Now, in order to understand what's going on, we have to start with looking at how the human brain is different from a computer. The brain has a unique way of classifying things into concepts. Even more, the brain can consider these concepts together with other different concepts and make sense out of what is basically abstract external objects. The brain is literally an eye-opener in helping us understand the world around us. Take a concept like king, for example. The brain can make associations to Shakespeare, a hamburger restaurant. It can make us think of a pawn sacrifice in chess, penguins, a car deck, a motion picture, Egypt, Elvis Presley, or our mind may just return, what kind of association is that? Most importantly, the brain directs focus by choosing the right perspective of what is relevant in a given situation. It creates a mind map of the world around us. And this is where the brain and the computer are miles apart. Just like king, the 6 bottles of wine I have can be understood from many different perspectives. For example, they can come from different regions and countries, they can be made of different grapes, and they can have different colors.
Capish Reflect imitates the brain's mind mapping capabilities by utilizing an infograph where information is visualized as holons and relations. There are different holon types, for example, district, grape, or color, that each contains fields that describe different aspects of a concept.
Key here is that Capish Reflect models real-world information as close as possible to the real world itself. This list shows the 6 wines I have from the perspective of the different labels or names. I call them my red, my white, and so on, instead of what they're really called. So, with the 6 different bottles of wine I have, let's say we want to find out what Pinot Noir wines I have that come from Burgundy or Champagne. Our brain loves to know these kinds of things.
A standard feature of list boxes and column queries is that you can make either a single or multiple selection. As is the case in, for example, normal spreadsheets, there's an or within a field and an and between different fields. Applying a filter to Bourgogne and Champagne within the listbox district is followed by another filter in the listbox grape.
This is a typical relational query, but what Capish Reflect additionally does is adding the frequency count. Not a small matter, since counting conveys a lot of information in itself. The ability to explore the reality from different perspectives is what Capish has made possible with the patented reflective logic. By selecting different vantage points in the software, you're basically joining thought with computer. You can ask questions that would be extremely difficult or even impossible in any other software. Let's see how this logic works with my 6 bottles of wine. I have a number of vantage points I can use in the software, and I'm going to make it easy and use district, grape, and wine as our vantage points. I'm starting with this one. Which red and white bottles do I have that are made from the same grape? The vantage point is obviously grape, and the question is asked in the color at grape list box.
The red funnel to the left in the Color at Grape list box provides the option of switching between OR queries and queries within a list box. Selecting red and white and applying a filter results in Pinot Noir as a grape that exists in both red and white wines. Since grape is the vantage point, a rosé is found where Pinot Noir is an ingredient in that particular bottle.
That's what happened when we selected red and white with grape as the vantage point. But the same selection from a completely different vantage point will give us a different result. Look here how selecting red and white becomes all the bottles I have that are from Loire.
Filtering red and white in the Color at District list box, where district is the vantage point, results in all bottles from the same district, in this case Loire. The reflective logic additionally identifies all other bottles from the same district. This is why there is a rosé as well.
What if we made this a little more, delicate? Instead of asking which wines are made of the same grape, we want to know which wines I have that include the same grape as the white wines do. This is a much more complicated query.
With Capish Reflect, this is easily done by selecting white in the Color at Grape list box and applying a filter. The result is immediate and shows Chardonnay and Pinot Noir that are found in the white wines. Since these grapes also are ingredients in red or rosé wine, those colors are also displayed in the table.
Right, so if we're not aware that the same grape can be ingredients in both red, white and rosé wine, we just got a lesson in that. Let's benchmark this application even more. The reflective logic also includes not as a parameter. You can query things that are not associated. So for example, are there districts that only produce sparkling wine and not still?
Alt-clicking one of the selections results in the and not option when querying. Sparkling and not still thereby results in all wines coming from the Champagne district.
If you were looking really closely, you could see that one of the wines was lacking type in all these examples. It wasn't specified whether this particular bottle was sparkling or still. We see the reason for this by doing a last query where we use a double negation.
Alt-clicking on both values results in the query not sparkling and not still. The result from the query is a bottle of champagne lacking type.
And why is that? Well, my guess is that this particular producer assumes that everyone knows that champagne is sparkling. So why even bother putting it on the label? What I have tried to show here is how the reflective logic opens up a new world of possibilities. Instead of being limited to relational logic and slice and dice tools, Capish Reflect mimics the way our brain works. Introducing vantage points and using simple logical concepts like and, or, and not makes it easy to pose questions that was up until now extremely difficult to do. With nothing more than 6 bottles of wine in these examples, just imagine what is possible with hundreds of thousands of data points with Capish Reflect.